Hi everyone, welcome back to GroundedHaven Homestead. My name is Michelle and today I'm going to be giving you an updated tour of our pantry. I like to do this pantry tour around this time of year in like March or April because it's a time of year when it's actually the emptiest. So it's a good update compared to when I last showed you the pantry, which was in 2022 around probably October or November. So in the last pantry tour, it is after our garden has just shut down and the pantry is very full at that point because it's full of all of the things that we've grown and preserved from the 2022 garden season. But we have been eating all of that food over the winter and now a lot of it is gone. So I always think it's nice to go in around the end of winter and early spring, and it's nice to see what's left. That way we can kind of gauge going forward this year the kinds of things that we like to preserve and eat so that we can do that again this year. Or if I see that I have a lot left of something, maybe I won't have to do it this coming year. So it helps me to plan, and it's fun to show you guys the comparison between last fall and this spring. So if you haven't watched that last video or if you want a refresher, I will link it in the description box so you can kind of take a look at that and see what we're starting with, because today it's going to look really different and it's nice to see where we started with last year and how we're looking now. I am first starting upstairs in our kitchen because I keep a lot of our dehydrated food here, and I still have a lot of spicy peppers left, and this is my container of dehydrated leeks. I haven't used too many of these yet because in the early fall I am concentrating on using all of my fresh onions before they go bad, but now that those are all gone, I'm going to be using these leeks more, and I just throw them into soup and they rehydrate in whatever broth I'm using. I still have some dehydrated sorrel as well, and these are also nice to throw into soup and casseroles. And then I have still 2 quarts of dehydrated zucchini, and those ones I like to use a lot in like bean and lentil soups, and we already went through a whole quart of those, but I didn't realize that we still had 2 quarts left, so that's still plenty to use. In our tea cabinet, we have gone through a lot of our dehydrated tulsi, which is holy basil, and we use that for tea. Aaron really likes this tea at night. I prefer chamomile tea, so it's just him drinking this, but we've already gone through an entire quart, I think, of that. So that jar's almost empty, and then I just have this one container left of tulsi. But yeah, I'm really surprised with how much that we went through this winter with just Aaron being the one that drinks it all, so I'm gonna make sure we grow a lot of holy basil this coming year. In my other cabinet, this is what I have left of my dehydrated cherry tomatoes. Also, I wanted to mention, if you can see in each of my jars of dehydrated goods, I do keep a little silica packet in there to make sure that nothing gets too moist and humid in there, which is a problem for us, especially in the summer when it's really humid. Things can go bad if too much moisture gets in there. So I like to keep a little silica packet in there. I just bought like 100 pack of these off of Amazon. I will link them down below. I also brought up my big jar of dehydrated apples up here, so we've been snacking on these, and those are a really great healthy snack to have. Now I'm downstairs in our creepy little basement where the bulk of our pantry is. It's a very small space, and we basically just try and cram as much of our stuff in here as possible. Here on the steps you'll see we still have a few pumpkins. In the fall we had a couple of pumpkins probably on every one of these steps, and now we're down to about 4 of them, and then a couple of honey nuts. These are starting to get pretty sad looking. Those might just go to the chickens because I didn't get to them in time. On the side here we have a small shelf that right now is just filled with a lot of store-bought pantry items, and then we also have a small chest freezer here. I believe this one is 4.7 cubic feet, so quite small, but it's what we can fit in our space. And then we have this main shelving unit here, which has a lot of our canned goods. So it's definitely looking a lot emptier than when we first started. We have gone through a lot of our jars of preserved goods. On the top shelf, it's mainly just storage for store-bought things at this time of year. We have a few older jars here. I put them up top so I know to try and go through them sooner. But most of the jars that we preserved in the fall are now in like these 3 shelves over here. So let's start over here where we have a lot of like kind of pickly type of things. We have a lot of jars of zucchini relish still. I haven't gone through too much of this because you don't need to use too much. Anytime you use it, you just need like a few spoonfuls. but I have really been enjoying this zucchini relish in my smashed chickpea salad. I made that in a pantry challenge video, and I'll link that in the description box. And that was a great way to use up this relish. So definitely happy with being able to find a use for that, because I canned a lot of jars of that last year. On this side, I have pickles, and I have bread and butter pickles and dill pickles. We haven't gone through too many of these. We go through pickles pretty slowly, so I think this coming year I will not need to can any cucumber pickles, but we have really been enjoying pickled peppers lately. So this coming year I want to pickle a lot of those, because we've just been eating like store-bought pickled peppers since I didn't do that last year. Still have a little bit of homemade dried lasagna noodles, so I maybe should make some lasagna coming up soon. On the next shelf I have some more of the zucchini relish and also pickled zucchini. I was not as big of a fan of the pickled zucchini as I was of the zucchini relish, so I would definitely do just the zucchini relish going forward. The pickled zucchini is good, but it just has like a softer texture to it. And then I'm gonna go over these boxes in a minute, but I also have more of kind of like the same kind of stuff down here, so I want to go over that first. So I have more pickled zucchini. I also have different kinds of pickles. So I have sandwich pickles here. I really like these ones. And then lemon pickles. These ones were a little disappointing. I thought they would be more lemony, but they kind of still just taste like regular vinegary dill pickles. So I don't know that I would go through the trouble of using lemon juice in the future. Okay, so I think that's all of the like pickled stuff. So let me go over this section here, which is pretty much all like jams and jellies, that kind of thing. In this box, I have peach jam from 2021. So that's my older peach jam. And also I have a few jars of strawberry jam here. Still have some more habanero pineapple hot sauce. I should find some other ways to use this. If I have need to make more barbecue sauce sometime soon, I think I'm gonna try and like do an entire jar of this in my batch of barbecue sauce, because that will use up a lot of the hot sauce all at once. Otherwise, it would take forever to go through a jar. Then in this box we have ground cherry jam, grape jelly. We actually have not, I don't even think we've eaten any of this grape jelly this year. I should remind Aaron that we have this down here so he can have like peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, because he likes to eat those. And then we have more older peach jam, and then the case under we have all of the newer peach jam, which we've been eating fresh. I kind of explained this in the fall video, but the newer peach jam that I made last year we've been eating fresh, and the older one I've been using for cooking and making barbecue sauce. Still plenty of jam. I have so much peach jam from last year because I think I made a double batch of that. I will not need to make peach jam this year, I think, which is great because I don't really enjoy making peach jam very much. But one thing that I definitely want to make more of this year are these canned peaches in syrup. We've been going through these really quickly, and I think I could even can these in quart-sized jars, because we could probably finish this entire pint-sized jar in one sitting. I did peach slices in medium syrup for these jars, and I used the hot pack method, and it actually ended up being not very sweet at all. I don't think the syrup is like too heavy, so I'm really happy with how that came out. And we pretty much just eat these like snacks or desserts. You don't even need to add anything to it. Just like scoop the peaches out of the jar and they are so good. So I've been trying to like slow us down with those. We only have 3 jars of those left, but we really enjoy those. So definitely gonna make more of these this year, and like I said, possibly can them in quart-sized jars. And we have also a few jars of applesauce left from this year. I think these were from apples that we got from a local orchard, and we got a really good deal on them because we always get like the scratch and dent apples from our orchard. That's a great way to save money, and those apples are always really great for applesauce. So we've got a few of those. Those are good for snacking, but I also bake with them, so I keep my applesauce unsweetened for that use. We have some more grape jelly down here, and then this eggplant caponata was definitely a great thing that I canned last year. It is great to use as kind of like a pasta sauce. So if you just toss pasta with this and then some grated Parmesan cheese and salt and pepper, you've got a full meal right there, and it has peppers, eggplants, tomatoes, and capers. I am down to like my last jars of diced tomatoes because that is probably like my #1 most used homegrown and homemade canned food item. I only have 2 quarts left of my diced tomatoes. I finished up all my pint jars, and this is one of the few things that I can in quart-sized jars because a lot of times I need a larger quantity of those. I think this whole case was filled with diced tomatoes or tomato products last time, and we're almost done with those. I don't think I've actually used any of my canned tomato sauce yet this year because I've been going through my frozen tomato sauce first because I always want to work on getting stuff out of my freezer first before I worked on my canned foods, because canned foods can last longer and keep the same quality compared to frozen food, which you need to get out of the freezer sooner, both for space and also for quality. So that's pretty much all of the canned food items, and underneath this shelf I also have a bunch of buckets with our bulk food items. So I keep things like beans and grains, sometimes flour, and most of these we get from Azure Standard, and I will link them down below if you want to shop there. And I also have a few bulk food haul type videos on our channel as well if you want to see like what kind of stuff we usually get. I actually haven't had to do a bulk food order in a really long time because we have worked up such a good pantry of the things that we use a lot. So I think I still have like quite a few months before I need to place another order. I just opened our last bag of flour, but it is a 50-pound bag, so that will last us a few months. And other than that, I think everything's like pretty good for now. And I have a few more buckets upstairs as well, but I keep some of them down here. So the last thing I'm gonna show you is a look inside this little chest freezer. Here's a look at my inventory list and how things have changed. And quick look in here, it is really empty compared to like how it usually is. Usually in like the summer and fall, this thing is bursting and I can barely get it closed. And our freezer upstairs also is like pretty empty, which is amazing. I'm really trying to work on getting all the produce out of here and eating as much of it as possible. So I'm gonna go through the stuff in there in a second, but let's just take a quick look here. One thing that I froze a lot of this year was shredded zucchini. I started with like I think 20 bags or something of shredded zucchini, and I'm down to only 7. That was definitely an amazing thing, and I found a lot of different ways to use it. If you've been watching our Pantry Challenge Meals videos, you'll see that I have kind of just like put the shredded zucchini in everything, and it's been great. I definitely want to do more of that this year. Zucchini chunks, surprisingly, I also went through really quickly, so I think next year I'll do more zucchini chunks. Other than that, not too much left. I didn't preserve a lot of some things, but I did have like a nice variety going into this winter, I think. So I had a couple of bags of different kinds of vegetables, and I've used a lot of those up. So things like kale, broccoli, snow peas. Upstairs, I've gone through our edamame, and I also have some cherry tomatoes up there. So lots of little things here and there. And basically all I have left now are a little bit more zucchini, some green beans, and winter melon. I still have a lot of winter melon actually, but our winter melons we keep upstairs just like at room temperature. Yeah, and then for meat we're like almost out of everything. We will probably have to do a farm pickup soon. That's pretty much everything. There's not a lot in there, so let me open it up and show you what's going on inside. All right, so everything is kind of categorized into these little tote bags, so it's easier for me to get in and out. In this bag I just have some cooked beans. I usually cook my beans in bulk, and I'll just freeze whatever I don't use that week. So this is just like a rotating selection. Right now I have all chickpeas, but usually I have things like black beans and pinto beans already cooked, so I just have to defrost those, and those are all cooked from our bulk dried beans. Next, this is a bag of all green beans and miscellaneous vegetables. I have a few bags of green beans and I think eggplant also at the bottom. And already I can start to see like the bottom of the freezer, which is pretty crazy because in the fall, you have to go through so many layers of things before you can even see the bottom. Next, this entire bag is all pre-cut winter melon. Anytime I cut open a winter melon, I portion it out into these containers and freeze them, and I can just dump a container of this into some broth and make soup out of it. Because each winter melon is like, 20 to 30 pounds. We can't eat it all, so I usually just section it out like that. And there's our full bag of winter melon from our most recent one that I've cut up. Next, I have a bag with our grape juice in it. I think I'll go ahead and take one of these up since I am pulling it out anyway. This homemade grape juice is really good. Super easy to make. You just like boil grapes until they release all their own juice and filter it out. Very, very easy. One new thing that we made this year that I really enjoyed. This is our bag of meat, which is almost empty. I just have like a few packages of ground beef. Last time I picked up like a bulk pack of ground beef from our local farm. It came with like, I think 10 1-pound packages of beef, and we were able to get a better deal on that, and it just stays in our freezer for when we need it. I just have some chicken wings also from some of our own chickens, and that's it for meat, so we really do have to make a farm run soon. Next, this is our bag of frozen zucchini. This is all shredded zucchini. I also have some miscellaneous vegetables like this okra and also some bitter melon, but the rest of this is all shredded zucchini. And then the last bag I have is fruit, and I only have one bag in there. Just some frozen peaches, and I think these are actually from 2 years ago. So I'm gonna take these up and defrost them, and I'll probably make like a peach cobbler out of these because I should really just get this out of here. So that's it. There's nothing left in this freezer. We just have like a little bit of food to get us through the next month or so, and then it's gonna be time to start filling it back up again. So I'm just gonna get everything back in here now. So that is everything that is left in our pantry in the early spring. And I actually found an old photo of our pantry when we first moved into this house from our first year here, and I'll put it up on the screen here. This space has definitely evolved and grown since then, and we have been preserving more and more of our own food and storing it in this humble little space. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video and seeing all the things that we still have in our pantry and a lot of the things that we've eaten. Hopefully you followed along throughout a lot of the cooking videos over the winter so you can see how I've used a lot of the stuff that we've preserved from our garden. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you again in the next one.